All right, on today's show, I welcome a very special guest. He is Raf Awa. He's a junior guard for LaSalle boys basketball team. Raf, how are you?
Good. How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing really well. How are you? How are you holding up during these COVID times?
I'm hanging in there. Everything's kind of starting to come back to normal. So hopefully there's some hope ahead. But I'm looking forward to hanging in.
That's good. That's good. I want to just before we talk about this past season and the experience playing in this past season, how did you get into basketball?
So I started off as a soccer guy, actually. I never picked up a basketball. My family was mainly soccer. And then my older brother started playing basketball when he was in middle school. And, same way, younger brother, older brother, you kind of imitate what your older guy does. So he started playing, I started playing. And after that, I kind of got hooked and haven't looked back.
That's awesome. That's great. And like, have like a friendly competition with your brother?
Yeah, I mean, friendly is, maybe not the best word to put it, but there's definitely competition. And recently I've been able to beat him a couple times now that I'm a little bit older, but I've gotten beat down countless amount of times.
Well,
So toughen me up, but I'm
that's
getting some
good.
wins now.
Hey, that's good. At least you're getting your revenge now. It's time to get the payback, right?
Exactly.
That's awesome. So, Raph, I want to ask too, like when you were playing basketball in middle school and everything, was there always a decision in the back of your mind that you knew you were going to go to LaSalle, or did you know you want to go somewhere else? How did you end up at LaSalle?
So actually, I spent majority of my years growing up in New York. I moved to Rhode Island at the start of my 8th grade year because my brother got into college here and my dad found a good job here. So we decided, everything works out. This looks like the move. So we moved to Rhode Island. So the middle school decision was a little bit odd because my mom didn't want to, put me in a middle school and then have to change back because we always thought LaSalle or Hendricken really were going to be the top choices. So I decided to spend 1 year at the middle school at LaSalle and then continued my career at high school at LaSalle. So it was more of like a joint decision.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And what's the transition from coming from New York to here? Is it a different style of play too from when you were playing in middle school?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could tell you, but I always think about it now, even about I never got the chance to I guess when I was younger, I never really understood the game at the level I do now. So when I was going and watching the high school games, I maybe I can't remember or I was too young, but I can't really judge. But I would say, I mean, I lived in upstate. I wasn't, New York City type deal. I was more farther north. So I think it's maybe about the same, maybe a little bit more competitive down here than it was up there. So it was a little bit of a change, but it was about the same, I'd say.
That's awesome. That's cool. And then what's your time been like playing with Sal and being part of, another great historic program in the state of Rhode Island?
I mean, I love it. The community there is great. Even regardless if it's a winning team or it's not, you always know that you're going to be, a family there. And, with them being synonymous with winning, you know that there's a certain type of standard you have to hold yourself to. So everyone there is kind of locked in with the same type of ideas, same type of goals. And once everyone's clicking like that, you can put together a really good season. And that's what we tried to do this year. Like you said, we fell a little short, but we'll definitely be back next year.
That's great. And now what was it like this season anyways was just a weird year totally. Like I don't like how did you feel like first A before you even got started with the season? Do you think you were gonna have a season? And like B, what was it like just the know that you're playing and then play with like mask and go through that season with a mask and everything?
It was definitely a transition because I knew we were going to play. I had an inclination that we were going to play. I knew that we were going to play some type of a season. I didn't know how much of a season we were going to have, but I knew we were going to have something. But, definitely the masks, is tough. I'm huffing and puffing every time. But I think the main thing that I really wasn't expecting was the like fans, how much fans played a role in the game and just having like near the end of the season having JV, JV team sitting there. They were like, I felt like I was playing in like the Duncan Center, Dunkin' Donuts Center with like that little small group. So it's definitely going to be fun to see, how it's going to be like. Hopefully, if we can get the fans back in the MAC next year, and how loud's that going to be, and how much of a role it's going to play in winning or losing games. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it was like playing without fans. It must have been like almost like not to put it like down, but like almost like a scrimmage. Must have felt like a scrimmage in some sort of ways.
Yeah, I mean, not really putting it down. It definitely felt like that. a lot of the pressure kind of went on the bench team and the JV to kind of bring the energy up. But you could hear it sometimes, like after a basket, it's be like, a couple claps, you run back down. So I mean, everybody did the best they could.
Oh, that's great. I mean, at least you had some, you had some cheering going on with the JV and some of the guys off the bench as well. I'm sure that helped out. Is there a game that really stuck out to you the most, that you enjoyed the most during the season?
I think the game that I may have enjoyed the most was probably the last game against Hendricken. I enjoyed that game a lot, and I really, I just love competition and I love high stakes games, and that's as high as it's going to get. Hendricken semifinals, so that was probably my favorite game to play in, other than in the regular season games. They just don't compare to playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. And what do you think that atmosphere would have been like if there was a crowd with that game? Because that game was intense. It went to overtime. It was, I think like you and the classical Mount Pleasant game, and that one was like the top two of the season. Like it's just like crazy how that happened.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, we were talking about it, the whole team before the game. We were talking about, like, us going in right now, that gym would be packed to the brim with people and loud and people yelling, people walking. And as much as, it would partly affect the game, because, Hendricken guys are gonna bring their team and they're gonna bring their fans and we're gonna bring our fans. I think, that can maybe sway the game either side. So I really hope we could have had fans there, because the atmosphere would have been electric.
Yeah, next year, man. Next year definitely be a lot of fun to be there.
I hope we can get them back in there. I really do.
You will probably see me and Ball and RI there as well too. So we'll be
I'll
there.
make sure to give you acknowledgement after some I hit a three or do something. I'll make sure to pay my respects.
All right, sounds good. I'm into that. I'll take it for sure. And what's the most difficult thing that you felt like you faced during the season, like any adversity, or what was like the most difficult thing you felt like you faced?
I believe probably the toughest thing we had to face individually for myself was going into the role of having to be, the guy and be like the leader that's going to have to step up. And, usually I was always, playing a little bit. I was playing up for my age. I never really had to fill that role. So now being the upperclassman, having to have, sophomores and freshmen looking up to me, it was definitely something that I had to, get used to, and remember that, the way I carry myself is how the team's going to carry itself, and I got to represent. So it took a little bit getting used to, took a couple practices, but after that, I started to realize, what I got to do to get this team to win, get this team to play together, and eventually, hopefully, get to an end goal that we all shared.
That's great. And what, like, you said when you become the guy, what's it like, you had some great scoring games, and like, when teams start to zero in on you, like what's some of the things that you do to kind of like get yourself free, to find a way to get shots for yourself too, to help your team get in that scoring aspect and get baskets?
Yeah, that's definitely something that I ended up seeing a lot of. Teams a lot of times when I catch the ball and go collapsing really fast in that paint, and so it's mainly just a lot of decision making, being able to understand when I got to kick out, when I got to see the seams. It slowly became more of like I got to slow the game down as opposed to going 100 miles an hour to the head down to the basket. So it definitely took a little bit of calculation now to learn how to play it, but I think that's going to help me in the long run when I start to, that zeroing gets even, worse and it gets even more intense, and finding my way to get to the basket and, still score, but still keep my teammates going. So kind of find that good balance.
Yeah, that good in between. Now, what is that like something you're going to go into the off season? Is that one of the things you're going to work on during the off season? Like, what are you going to look at facing in the off season?
Yeah, the off season, I'm definitely looking to do better in my, decision making, doing better in basically, all aspects of my game, just to elevate it. I thought I could have shot the ball a little bit better this year, so definitely going to sit and get some shots up, outside in the gym, and shoot at a higher clip, and finishing at the basket, keeping my teammates involved, being able to stay conditioned, and just overall, become a better player than I was, this year. That's the goal ultimately.
That's great. And now, what was it like to get one of the end of season awards from Ball and RI, Ramon himself?
I mean, it's always nice to get recognition. It's always nice to feel like, people are watching you, people understand what you're doing. But at the end of the day, I really just want that trophy, that state championship trophy. I appreciate all the love from Ball and I appreciate all the love from RIC, the RI Basketball Association for nominating me, for all state and best guard and stuff. But team sport. I just want that all state. But thank you again for everything, for all those. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll take them, don't worry, I'll take them.
Yeah, but you want that ring now. That's the thing that you want.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. My fingers are bare. I need to fill them up. So
Yeah, exactly. Gotta fill them up. Gotta fill them up.
Yeah, I mean, all my friends, all the different sports, all the soccer, tennis, football, everyone, they're ringed up, and I'm just sitting at the lunch table with nothing on my fingers. I gotta catch up. So hope next year.
Exactly. You gotta get ringed up, man. You gotta put a ring on it somehow, right? So, right. And now, what's it like? Because you play now AAU for Mass Premier. What's your time been like with the Mass Premier so far? When you guys start playing your first game?
I really love the guys over there, and I think they really understand, what they want to do. And I love the coach, Coach Adams, great guy. Really wants to work hard, always keeps us working hard. So I never played with them before, so it's I'm seeing how I like it, and right now I'm loving it. So hopefully, when the first game comes around, we can get ourselves a win and have ourselves a successful season.
That's awesome. And what's it like? Just anyways, like you're playing in Mass, you're playing against some like other competition from New England and other states and stuff. Like what's that do for you? Because some guys, you play against Rhode Island, you play against guys know who you are. What's it like to play against different guys?
It's definitely fun to get out of the Rhode Island bubble and start to see where you are the rest of the region. And it's fun to play those guys again, outside of high school basketball. And a lot of times we'll come together and we'll play. But I think it's nice to go out there and see the different talent you are, and gauge where you are in the food chain, see where you are, what you got to work on, how hard you got to work. So I like playing outside the bubble, outside my comfort zone, because that's how you get better.
That's awesome. That's great. And now I just want to ask some questions just for fun and people to get to know you and who you are and everything, because you're very professional at how you speak, by the way. It's a very, very professional chat. So I want to know, do you have any pregame rituals or superstitions?
We do have we have a couple team ones that I won't share out loud to the public. That'll keep it under wraps. But personally, I used to have a thing. I didn't do it this year because it just didn't feel right. But I usually tape my wrists I usually tape my left wrist before the game specifically, and I write something on it. I either write something goofy or like let's go get a win today, or some inside joke, and I'll just get out there and play, and like I'll point at it if someone in the crowd notices it. It's kind of something I do. But and then I do a dribbling series before the game every time, and then we lock in and we're ready to play.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And how did that start? Did you just like start it one day just for the heck of it, or just like it kind of?
Yeah, actually, I gotta thank my friend Jakai Washington. Top sophomore now. He started it. We called it Wrist Tape Wonders. He was the first person to do it, and he was like, "You should do it with me," and I did it, and we haven't stopped since. It's me and him. We kind of do that every game now.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Well, shout out to Jakai for starting that and making that happen.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
Shout out to Kai for Wrist Tape Wonders.
Yeah.
You start seeing people do it during high school. You know who to thank.
You're gonna have to start trademarking that one.
Yeah, exactly. It's gotta be put under copyright now.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Now, do you have a favorite meal or anything a favorite food that you like to eat?
Favorite food? I'm definitely a mac and cheese man. I like mac and cheese, put like the chicken on it, barbecue sauce, and that's ready to go.
That's awesome. All right. And now, is there another sport that you would play outside of basketball that you would like to try?
I am a two-sport athlete. I play soccer, so I'd probably pick soccer. And although I'm not very good, I still like playing it. I still like to be outside, and a lot of my friends play it, so that'd probably be my second option.
That's awesome. What position do you play in soccer?
Center back. I'm a defensive guy.
Nice. How do you think that intertwines too with basketball, playing soccer? How do you think that footwork helps, or just being in conditioning as well too?
It does. A lot more running in soccer, so I think that did maybe help me get up and down the floor, and the same kind of shifting of the feet and poking at the ball is the same as reaching. You got to know, when to poke, when to not, when to shift your feet. So it is kind of like the same thing at the end of the day, but just, moving different parts. So I think it does help me.
Nice. And then favorite basketball, favorite NBA team and favorite player?
New York Knicks. I'm a Knicks fan till the end.
What do you think about them this year? I mean, they're doing well.
They are. I mean, my guys, Julius Randle, all-star. RJ Barrett's playing out of his mind quickly. I think we can do something. Maybe not this year, but maybe the next year. I think we can definitely make some moves. So it's looking good up in New York.
I think so. I think they're going to start attracting some better free agents too, and possibly land a couple of superstars, because
definitely.
I think Thibs is a great fit for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're starting to put it together. And the whole thing of why free agents didn't come to New York was because of, everybody hates everyone hates the president. Everybody hates, the atmosphere. They suck. No one wants to go to New York. So now that we're winning, now that it looks like guys are having fun on the court, we're waiting for the All-Stars to come.
Yeah, they'll be lining up, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be nice to see New York take basketball back in action. You guys are actually doing better than the Celtics. And the Celtics have two All-Stars.
Yeah, I know. Your Celtics aren't doing too hot. I've been letting everybody know.
Yeah, you got to have those bragging rights. You deserve them.
I've gotten so much slack for the Knicks. I can't say, whenever I talk about the bad about the Celtics, they're like, yeah, but you're a Knicks fan. You can't be talking. So now I can kind of, get off a little bit and tell them what I feel. So
I like it. Now, do you have any other favorite sports that you watch or teams?
I like to watch football when the season's around. Basketball mainly, definitely NCAA right now. And occasionally if I'm bored, I'm slipping through the channels. Tennis, axe throwing also is very popular that I like to watch. And recently I've been watching the game cornhole. There's like a national competition.
Yeah.
Playing the cornhole national competition, and I was watching it with my friends, and I was like, "This is amazing. This needs to be prime time." So I'm watching cornhole in my pastimes.
I like it. I feel like when the pandemic happened, I feel like cornhole was the only sport that was actually on. The guys were playing with masks and throwing it.
Yeah, exactly. It was cornhole, bowling, and axe throwing. It was the ESPN 1, 2, and 3. It was those three channels. It's
watching ESPN Ocho at one point, it felt like.
Yeah, watching it in Spanish just to get something.
Yeah. Now, do you favorite thing to do outside of basketball?
Outside of basketball, I love to design clothes. Actually, that's kind of the pastime that I like to do. I have a small little clothing brand and Click that I've made, and I enjoy making that stuff in my off time and kind of designing it and selling it out.
That's awesome. What's the brand? Where can I buy?
World's Clay is the brand. It's short for The World is Clay. It's kind of like a metaphor under the part of, I was always a fan of claymation and all that stuff, and man made of clay, so kind of clicked to me. And yeah, that's kind of been the thing so far. Its link is I think the link is in my bio on Instagram, is to the other Instagram page for World's Clay. You can see the different stuff I've dropped, and I recently dropped hoodies, sold out. So if anybody's interested, just go follow and just wait for the next drop. That's something special. So
that's awesome. All right. I'm going to have to buy some. How did you get into that? I'm kind of interested. How did you get into that? How did you start that? The idea came about?
Well, the idea came because I always would look at things on, unfortunately, a lot of the clothes a lot of people my age want are, really, really expensive or really, really hard to come by. And I was just thinking about it, and I was like, well, all this stuff, I mean, this guy's putting it on hoodies, and I was kind of tired of just the clean cut, screen printed hoodie. So I was like, this is something that I can do with, I do a lot of fabric work and embroidery that, I've recently learned from my mother, who's taught me how to do it. And I've been, working on that. I try to make stuff that's original and stuff that people are going to look at and be like, oh, well, that's different than everything I'm seeing. And it's not something that's totally out of my price range. So something that's, meet in the middle, where you can find some type of, a luxury, a unique thing, while also not, dropping a ridiculous amount of money, like $100 on, a piece of clothing. So it's just something that I wanted to give back, kind of, and to make me a little bit happy too.
That's awesome, dude. That's such a great like side hustle and like what you're doing. Hopefully it blows up for you, becomes like a massive thing. And I think that's such a great idea too, because like I know I have a nephew that's like 15 years old and it's like he wants to buy some hoodie and it's like 300, $200. And I'm like, dude, how? Like it's crazy
Yeah,
what they charge the kids. And that's great that you want to be able to give back to kids your age and stuff like that and have some cool designs and make it cheap.
exactly. That's kind of like the goal.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Raf, this has been awesome, dude. You're such a great kid, man. Like I said, very professional speaking and very professional. I could see you being a CEO one day of a company with, with the shirts and everything like that. And do you have any statements or questions or anything before we sign off?
Mainly just to, everybody who's sitting in the pandemic, who's kind of feeling like they got nothing to do and all that stuff. Just remember that, there's gonna be, light at the end of the tunnel. Everything's getting better. If you feel like you can't get basketball, go out, find a friend, go shoot together just because the gyms are closed. And, just remember that if you're not working, somebody else is. So everybody get in the gym and just keep working.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you so much, Raf, for being on the show. This has been an awesome, great interview. And best of luck with you and good luck with Mass Premiere. And you can definitely find me wearing some World's Clay gear down the line. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
No problem.